I'm here with the CEO of Energized Natural Resources, Jeff Callaway, here on the floor of the Global Petroleum Show in Calgary. Before we get started, just a disclaimer, Jeff is also chairman of the board of directors for the Western Standard. Yep. So if you're looking for this to be entirely objective and hard-hitting and gotcha, it's probably not. Probably not it. We're not going to eat up the chairman of our board for the work he does. He was also president of the Wild Rose Party for
years ago.
For probably majority of that party's history.
I was the majority. I literally wrote the business plan.
You did?
Yep.
Yeah. It's had some ups and downs, that plan.
It had some challenges, as any business does, but it was literally like writing a
Mistakes
business
were
plan
made
for a party. There were some challenges, obstacles, but we overcame them, and now ultimately the leader of the Wild Rose Party is the premier of this province.
One in the end. Yeah. All right. Well, we're here, I guess, not to chat politics directly, but what your company, Energized Natural Resources, is doing with the Global Energy Show here. There's a lot of really, the biggest players on the planet are here.
Yep.
This morning we had the president or chairman of OPEC.
Yep.
Are you pro Alberta joining OPEC? Should we join the cartel? Quebec gets the cheese cartel. Don't we get the oil cartel?
Yeah, we as a Western Canada, we kind of fought from getting out under one cartel, that being the Canadian Wheat Board. I'm not sure we actually want to join another cartel here in Alberta. I mean, the free market is so key, and it brings in and involves so many Albertans in this province, actually Western Canadians into the industry, and involves someone, and it spreads the wealth out across, right? So it's not like, you've got a few very rich people in the elites in some countries, like we see in the energy industry in the world.
Mostly OPEC countries. Yeah.
Mostly OPEC countries, yep. Yeah. Whereas you spread that wealth out across Albertans, and Albertans really see that,
Billy Bob Thornton can get rich here.
Yeah. Actually, literally, the subsidiary of my company, the operating subsidiary, is called Clamp It, after the Beverly Hillbillies. And I mean, I inherited that when I bought the company. But hey, there's a story about just some regular folks that shot a hole in the ground and found some bubbling crude and, created a great life for themselves. So, yeah.
Well, we'll refrain from singing the whole song here.
There we go.
Bursting into a musical here.
Yeah.
All right, so there are the very biggest players in the world. About 30 feet that way, I see the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria. You got big players from Nigeria here.
Ghana, Korea.
Norway's right there.
Yep.
Korea, you got a bunch of nukes.
India.
Yeah. Everyone's here. It is. Yeah. This has become a big deal. I think there's only one bigger one in the world. That might be Houston. I think they also are the ones who beat us for biggest rodeo in the world. Those bastards in Houston.
Well, funny enough though, in a different entity, I was actually in Kazakhstan, in Almaty, at their oil and gas conference.
It was very nice.
And I will say, it was. I won't comment on that. It was a huge show. I give them a lot of credit for that. But I will say it was probably a third Chinese and half Russian. And this was after the invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because that was about the only place the Russians could go. was Kazakhstan. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, I guess the Russians are really the only ones you don't see here.
Yeah, there's no Russians here. No Russians here.
No.
Yeah, the Chinese are here, Koreans, Japanese. Yeah,
Soviet Russia, oil invests in you. All right, so this was kind of a roundabout way of getting to, what's the value of so you run a junior
junior oil and gas.
What's the value of a junior oil and gas being it here? Because there's so many of these gargantuan international players, big national and North American players. What's the value of a junior being here?
Yeah, so, obviously there's vendors here that cater to very large installations, very big plants, big midstream operations, big pipeline companies, pipes, valves, pumps, all of that kind of stuff. But then there's a number of other players here too that like I just had a conversation outside the Western Standard booth here with on some well monitoring equipment using AI sensors. So, key for us as a smaller company is, runtime, efficiency, reliability of our wells. And so, he had some interesting ideas on how to, preemptively monitor in case your wells go down or before your wells go down, actually sensing those things, because it's obviously much cheaper to preemptively fix something than to have to fix your PCP pump down hole or whatever the issue may end up arising. Like, that's an example. There's even some Bitcoin mining people here too.
Yeah, actually, I met one of the Bitcoiner guys.
Yeah.
That's something a lot of people don't know about. It's the most Albertan thing in the world.
Yep.
You're drilling for oil. You've got this gas, and until extremely recently, all you could do was flare it.
Yep.
Which the environmentalists don't like.
Yep.
And businessmen don't like either, because it's wasted energy. Now it's being channeled into generators to mine Bitcoin on the site. I can't think of anything more freedom than that.
Well, it is, and frankly, it's something that, like, myself and for our company, we're looking at. Now, we're almost all light oil right now. We just use a bit of our gas for fuel, for pump jacks and drive engines and that, and fire tubes. But as we do a little more drilling, we're going to end up with a little more gas. And as we get a little more gas, okay, now what are we going to do with the gas? And, it makes a lot of sense to, bring in some generators and first, try and get off the grid. Power prices are pretty low in Alberta right now, but a couple of years ago, they were very high. So if you can insulate yourself from A, power costs, and then B, turn it into a revenue stream, and you're starting to sell Bitcoin, partner up with them. There's all kinds of different structures that they work with. That's something that's pretty compelling. And it's being deployed in Alberta right now for a lot of the more entrepreneurial companies. So, yeah, that was just, to be honest, that was probably the primary thing that I was down here to check out.
So that's kind of my question. You're primarily here for kind of the exhibitor side, like these, I think, what is it, 4 to 5 giant exhibitor halls here. Is that mostly what you're doing, is on the exhibitor side?
Yeah, well, I'm wanting to come and check out, see new technology, see what other people in the world are doing, seeing if there's something interesting here. I was here last year for the first time, actually. Then I kind of saw a couple of exhibitors about that, so I want to follow up with them. As things evolve in our business, that's exactly what I'm just trying to find, right? So, beyond that, there's and then it's just kind of networking too. As you run into a few people you maybe haven't seen for a while. Obviously I have my political background, so
we're falling over.
I don't really need to.
There's an old Wild Rose walking behind you right now as you speak.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably.
He's off camera, but
okay.
Yeah. We may have actually grabbed him.
Okay.
Shot too. We'll see.
Okay. But you run into a lot of folks. You maybe you're busy with your company, and so you haven't seen them for a while. And I've been out of politics for a number of years now, so it's kind of interesting to run into some of these folks again. So, but tomorrow we've got Danielle Smith, I guess, is speaking here, and it's great to have, obviously, and there's an Alberta booth here, which is great to see, that emphasis, and support the energy show in the industry. And obviously the head of OPEC was here. It would be really wonderful, I think, if we had someone from the federal government here.
Yeah. Actually, in about 10 minutes, I've got the former NDP Energy Minister, Mark McQuaid-Boyd, here. She's actually a very nice lady. And she was actually way better as an NDP Energy Minister, and I'm meaning this politely, because I think she was not aware of the file before she became minister. So she didn't come.
So she's like our current attorney general.
She didn't come with all those NDP prejudices to the job.
Right.
So she actually became. She worked within the NDP confines of things, but less crazy than you'd think. So actually, anyway, yeah, she's here. She's actually she's speaking. I think she's worked for Council Public Affairs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an eclectic mix here.
But no one from the federal government.
No.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh,
in fact, the closest thing we have to the federal government.
Let's pan the camera. Actually, we do have a representative of the Liberal cabinet here. He's just sitting right over here. Let's just pan the camera, John. Oh my God! It's Stephen Guilbeault with the chair. Okay.
I can say, just standing here waiting to do this interview, I probably had half a dozen people say, "Where's the dartboard? Where's the tourniquet? How can we?"
Our next interview here. We were just talking about her, Mark McQuaid Boyd, former Energy Minister of Alberta. We're gonna have her up next.
Yep.
But yeah, people have asked for a dartboard over there. I was like, we're gonna get accused of being violent or something. I was like, no. You could just sit here and hurl insults. You're supposed to take a picture with them, but
I think if you actually started like bidding for charity or like a bid for charity, high bid gets to do something with a statue. That's probably a good idea. You'd probably turn it into a pretty big fundraiser.
I have no comment to what you've just said, and I think you realized after you said what you said how inappropriate that was. So I'm going to end the interview here.
It's all for charity. It's all for charity.
There's an island where I think they said that too. All right, I'm going to cut it off there before we get the cops at our door.
Okay.
All right, that's Jeff Callaway, President CEO of Energize Natural Resources. Thanks for joining us today.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
That was fun.